Hey everybody, thank you for joining me. We are going to go to face here very soon. We are going to be showing my face here very soon. Just sit tight, and please say hello, and please like and share the video or live stream. This is gonna be fun. We got our first like midday Monday Mindful Monad post. Okay. Stream. Anyways. Can I get some purple demon faces in the chat? Let's see. Let me look for it. marvelous purple awesomeness. Here we go. Purple faces. Oh, with the hearts. I love that. I love the hearts with it. Alright, shall we do it? Should we go to face? Let's do it. I'm ready. Can we get some more purple faces in the house, please? Thank you. More purple demon faces, and we shall go live. And let's start chit-to-chatting. And I have a discussion in mind today, and it's a thought-provoking discussion. I don't have all the answers to it yet, but that's a lot of what Monday Monad. Mindful Monad is all about, is opening up your mind, learning how to think reasonably and critically. So please, more demon faces, because reason is the devil's whore, remember. Excellent, yes, keep it coming, keep it coming, keep it coming. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go to big face in 3 and 2 and... Hello, everybody. Hello, dear monads. My name is Jan Erickson, and this is Mindful Monad, a YouTube channel about Hyperianism and innerstar actualization. And a big part of innerstar actualization is learning how to think rationally, reasonably, in applying yourself to your everyday life, externally and internally. So everything you do on the outside as an action and everything you do for yourself on the inside. So today is, I think I have live streamed on a Monday before, but it must have been once, so I don't really remember. So today, I'm just gonna go ahead and say, is the first Mindful Monad, which technically, yes, under Mindful Monad's first Monday live stream. Now, if you're familiar with hanging out with us, we usually do live streams on Friday as a Friday night chat. But I wanted to change things up a little bit, not to stop posting content on Monday or making content on Monday necessarily, but to just get away from the word Monday. We used to be Monday Monad. Now we are Mindful Monad. And I'm going to take the videos that I make and focus more on improving my essay writing abilities, my skills, my essay writing skills, and I want to write more in-depth essay videos. So that's why I'm kind of like making a change. I'm making it so like I can just keep up content throughout the week, and when I actually want to make a good solid point on a very important topic, I want to sit down, write a very nice juicy essay, and produce it into like a good, like seriously 30 to 45 minute video that's released once a month, maybe twice. So that's what's going to happen. So instead of posting 10 to 15 minute videos every Monday as Monday Monad, I'm going to scratch that, and we're just going to start doing a midday live stream on Mondays, unless there is a video release in which there will be a video premiere. So anyways, thank you so much for coming today. I know this particular live stream is going to be a very small crowd, but that's okay. That's expected when you try something new. It's not always very big and productive. So let me just say hello to people. Oh, but before I say hello, I just want to say, if you're just coming in, the whole point of tonight's topic is to start you thinking about how the United States Constitution is not very efficient in enabling people to explore innerstar actualization or achieve innerstar actualization. And that's kind of my main overhanging point today. So that's what we're going to be doing. And it really is based off of one point in this whole Roe versus Wade overturning in America. It's driving home this weird issue where a lot of people are saying like, hey, we're getting more rights in guns, but we're losing rights in, for abortion care. And so many times people say, well, well, guns are in the Constitution and abortion isn't. And they say that like very confidently and stuff, and I'm just like, If the Constitution is not there and helping its people currently, if it's not living up to the expectations it should in enabling people to have certain freedoms in life, you think maybe it's time for a revision? So then there's another part of my brain that's like, can we do that? Can we do that? Can we change the Constitution? Like, because I just feel like if things are just consistently based on the Constitution of America, it really will become obsolete. And frankly, there's some parts of it that I think should be voided. And I also want to get in a little bit about how people who are literalists, and what I mean by literalists, they go by literal phrases in documents, and very specifically things like the US Constitution and mainstream religious material such as the Bible. A literalist will read the Bible and take it literally and apply that to modern day man, which does not work in the long run. It's not working now, and it won't. So anyways, this is what we're talking about tonight. And yes, this is a tad bit impromptu because it's the first Monday live stream, and it's so weird because I'm used to live streaming Friday nights, so it's like it's bright outside and I have to set my lighting differently, and my neighbor is mowing their lawn because of course, and then also I have lots of birds around my place, and there's this one particular crow that's a new baby crow, and it hasn't quite learned how to caw like an adult. So it's very scratchy and screechy, and it just cries and cries and cries. And I see it all over the place. I see its mama is like trying to show it like how to thrive for itself by like picking up food, like a piece of food, putting it down in front of it and being like, see, pick it up. And it just cries like a baby, just meh, 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 like in her face. So there's that going on during the day. I'm very passionate about that because it's been driving me nuts for like weeks. I'm so over this one baby crow that just cries and cries and screeches, and yeah. So anyways, hello everybody. Hello Andromedist. Thank you so much for coming. And Hyperion Frequency, good to see you. So happy to see you, and thank you for the compliment. I think it was you who gave the compliment on last Friday night's live stream. So last Friday night, I did just a general response or reaction to Roe versus Wade being overturned. So if you want to check that out, I actually went ahead and watched myself over again because that's how I learn and where I need to improve and not. And like one thing I noticed is that I was really slow to get like points out, but I'm glad I was, because I could tell I was, and at the time I did feel this, I was trying to be very careful about what I said because I had so much emotion going on that day, and I still do right now. So I think, you know, a lot of Monday Monad, oh, it's not Monday Monad anymore. Mindful Monad material for the next while is kind of going to be centered around this issue, because it's something I've always wanted to talk about, but I've always avoided out of fear. Two topics I am dying to talk about in excess that I also fear is abortion and guns. Okay. So, and I can't decide which one is like more juicy than the other. So these topics are going to be coming up because of recent circumstances, and it's like I said, always wanted to do it. But I've been shying away because I didn't want to bring it up out of nowhere. But now I feel like I almost have to. Because these are very like prominent subjects in the world. Speaking of guns, I was originally going to wear a different shirt, but I spilt a lot of mayonnaise on it, and then, no joke, I'm not even trying to be funny, after that happened, and I was like, oh, I spilt mayonnaise on my shirt, my good gray shirt, and I put it in the washing bin and stuff. I got onto my Facebook, and I saw in my feed that there was genuinely Subway employees that were shot over having too much mayonnaise put on the sandwich of a customer. A customer had too much mayonnaise on their sandwich, and they shot the employees. Like, I love mayonnaise. I will spoon that shit. This person hates mayonnaise, I get it, but like, I love mayonnaise so much, I'm like, whoa, man. I want to know what happened to that person. Like, what happened to them? What happened to them to where, like, the whole tipping point was too much mayo on a sandwich? I have tipping points all the time, especially with what's going down in the US right now with Roe versus Wade being overturned, but you're definitely not going to find me shooting anybody over too little mayonnaise on my sandwich, because that's the only way I would be mad. You put half the jar on that, okay? Or you get out of my face. Hello, Imaginista. Good to see you. Tina Timpson. Hello. Yes, I love mayo. That's one of the weird, like, secrets about me as a person. I love mayonnaise way too much. Way too much. Please like and share the video. Like and subscribe if you haven't. Here's my little oppie. They're telling you to subscribe. And I also have a Patreon. Patreon.com/Jan Erickson Official, in which you can join. And now that we're kind of freed up with the new branding, we're gonna be doing private streams for patrons only. They might be on Saturdays, I'm not sure. I have to pick a day of the week. It might be Friday nights too, like after the regular stream for the public. So for those of you who are just coming in, or if you're still here, I don't know. So anyways, for those of you who are just coming in, my name is Jan Erickson. This is my channel, Mindful Monad. Today, is our first, like, Monday midday live stream that I'm doing for Monday Monad. And I'm just kind of, like, continuing some thought process from Friday. Friday was mostly a reaction that I had to Roe versus Wade being overturned, and it was a very difficult thing to talk about. I felt like I had to step on eggshells and speak about things very carefully. So today what I want to focus on is the idea and the concept of the US Constitution now being very much inadequate for common day or current day man. I don't mean that like human, I don't know, man, human, the human race, the avatars we occupy, all of Hyperians, everybody on this planet. That's a very kind of like outdated term to say, so I apologize if that doesn't sound right. But common or current day man, things in the Constitution just don't really apply today. And one thing I would like to say, like, because I've shared this personal opinion of mine, is it just does absolutely no good to limit abortion services to people and have this excess production of children in which they will just get shot up at schools anyways. And I know for a fact that this is a very oranges and apples like type of thing, just because they're both fruit. Just because guns and abortions are two controversial subjects doesn't mean they're the same thing and they have anything to do with each other. That's what the whole concept of oranges and apples is. When somebody takes one point and tries to relate it to something else, in which there could be a very vague relation, but really they have nothing to do with each other. So it really is oranges and apples. The issues with guns has nothing to do with the issues of abortions, but they are two hot fucking topics. Hot scolding topics. So I've seen people kind of make this correlation before, even though it's very loose. And for me, it really is kind of just sarcastic. Like, why are we trying to, like, force children to be born just for them to be shot up in schools 5 years later? Ba-dun-ching. And I've seen other people try to make that point. And the rebuttal to that, the very common rebuttal to that is, well, issues with guns are in the US Constitution, but abortion is not. Like, very vehemently, like verbally, literally. Abortion is not covered in the Constitution. And my first, like, emotional reaction to that is, of course it fucking isn't. Of course it isn't. The US Constitution was written in the 1700s. Of course it doesn't include that. Like, duh. And so here's where my thought process goes, and why it led me to the point of the US Constitution not being efficient enough to enable people to innerstar actualization. Innerstar actualization being self-actualization, only on a more sort of teleological level. It is getting to know yourself within and outside too. There's a part to existing as a monad in this world, this reality, where not only do you have to develop yourself on the inside and examine yourself on the inside and try to be the best version of yourself possible, but there's also a more altruistic approach too, or part of this, where not only do you get to that stuff yourself, but you need to enable others around you to be able to do the same. So, hold on, let me adjust my volume. So, it's this, it's this thing, this altruistic component that I'm just like, I'm screaming about, I'm raving about. I'm like, God, people, come on. What about everybody as a whole? What about humanity as a whole? What about this country as a whole? Because there's plenty of other countries not struggling with this bull crap right now. Yes, it's true. The guns are mentioned in the Constitution. Abortion is not. Very vehemently, very literally, it is not mentioned. Why? So I had to ask, and I'm gonna go here. I had to ask myself because, frankly, I'm somebody who's really dumb with politics, okay? I am not afraid to admit that. I've never been interested in politics. It's always gone way over my head. Any political history, like, I just kind of skimmed over and did the best I could in high school. So my interest in these topics, these political topics, not just from a moral perspective, but a purely political perspective, has risen just within, I'd say, the last 2 years. And it's been so hard for me to, like, get into this because, frankly, politics are boring. They're boring, but yet they're so important. But the way they are delivered is boring. So I've had to really search and hunt for ways to learn about politics and learn what's going on currently in the world through sources that I can understand, because I'm a very feeling type kind of monad. I love things with theater to them, some zazz to them, some creativity to them. I can't just, like, read boring ass shit. It does not apply, and I don't care, because there's plenty of other ways to present information in the world, so we don't always have to present it one way. We can present information in different ways, where different kinds of monads experiencing this holos, different kinds of thinkers, can learn things that are very important for us to understand. So politics is very difficult. This politics, guns, abortion, these are all things that I have very much avoided, and I find myself having to just dive right in. So I'm thinking about, like, can you change the US Constitution? Because so many of the arguments are like, well, abortion isn't in the Constitution. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, why not? Why? And when you write a constitution, is it written in stone? And you can never change it again. Like, these are things I didn't know, so I look into it. It turns out, yes, the US Constitution can be changed. It's a very convoluted process. Well, convoluted to me, as I'm just, like, looking at it. It's a very strict process, but it can be done. Other countries have constitutions too. And historically, other countries have been able to change their constitutions just fine. there's something very peculiar in America, the American Constitution, in which it just really hasn't been altered much. The individual amendments within it, some of them have been tweaked and turned all over the place, but for the most part, our Constitution is like one of the most archaic. It's very baffling to me. Because first and foremost, this Constitution of America was written back in the 1700s by people, by men who were not morally good men. They really weren't, even to their own terms and their own standards. They were, and even if they did think it was right then, now it's very barbaric. I mean, these men that founded the Constitution, that worked on the Constitution of America, they were, most of them, if not all of them, were slave owners and R-wordists and people who just love to take advantage and use other people. So I really have to highly question who they had in their best interest. So I started exploring, I started digging, and I stumbled upon, oops, where do we go? There we are. Sort of this weird thing, by Thomas Jefferson. Now, Thomas Jefferson was no saint. Absolutely not. He had his own dark shit going on too. But what I found interesting about Thomas Jefferson is that he had, no, not my song lyrics. He had this particular quote. And it's from this big ass letter I have pulled up here. It's not too long, but we're gonna skim through a little bit of it. But it had this thought that I copied and pasted, that I thought even then some people within this group that founded this Constitution were still thinking about the future. So Thomas Jefferson, his comment about the US Constitution, Thomas fucking Jefferson said this: "No society can make a perpetual constitution or even a perpetual law." And there's more he has to say within context to that, but as I started to explore this, I started to find that even Thomas Jefferson was like, hey guys, there's a lot about this Constitution that we're making that will not be applicable at some point to modern day people. It's just even he was able to foresee that. And so it's very interesting because the US Constitution, other country constitutions can be amended, they can be changed, but something's very sussy when the US Constitution is the notoriously hardest constitution to change. There's so many things put into place so that it is very difficult to change. And I have many questions. I have so many questions. And I wish I paid attention as a child when I learned about political history, in high school and stuff. But I had no context then. I had no premise. I did not understand the personal effects that U.S. politics had on me as an individual. I did not understand at the time how the U.S. government could very much hinder my opportunities and my ability to achieve innerstar actualization. So a little bit more about innerstar actualization. But before we get into that, and please somebody remind me because I'm going to forget in like 2 seconds, the bookmark is innerstar actualization. We're going to talk about that a little bit. But I see some people I think I have not said hello to. If I have, I apologize. Just pretend I didn't and say hello to me again. And if I haven't said hello to you, please wave around and get my attention. So anyways, hello, Paul Cherry. I don't know you. I think you're new to me, but hello, welcome. Imaginista, good to see you. I see someone named Stormed the Delta. I'm not familiar with that. Thank you so much for coming. Lisa Grace, hello. Lisa Grace says, I like the writing and mayo idea. I don't know what the writing and mayo idea is. I love mayonnaise, though. I am not ashamed. Oh, okay. Paul Cherry, P-Wing. Good to see you. Okay, sometimes people change their usernames and then it just throws me off, okay? I'm like a teacher in a kindergarten class. I don't know all my students' names. You're not my students, but you get what I mean. Oh, so before we get into innerstar actualization a little bit, I just want to say I was I am very interested in this letter from Thomas Jefferson to James Madison about the U.S. Constitution and sort of his discrepancies. And I kind of want to read into it a little bit. It's not too long, but it is a bit of a read. You know what? Let's just get into it. So, anyway, so Thomas Jefferson wrote this letter to James Madison, and he had some just like concerns about like the way things were being delegated. And I could only imagine because frankly, like imagine trying to like set the pace for a whole American country. But it was very weird how like protected they were over it. Also understandable because they just really did not want to be run aground, but they definitely were not thinking about humanity as a whole in the long run. They were definitely thinking very selfishly, and I just don't care to idolize the founding fathers anymore. I really don't. I mean, I know like we're not into morals and stuff like here in Hyperianism, but good God, so much of their actions just like hurt and hinder other people, and that's just not natural. It's not natural. It's what's natural is doing the innerstar actualization, like realizing what's not only best for yourself in the long run, but for humanity as a whole. You gotta be very altruistic. That's a very brief way to describe it. We're gonna get more in that into a bit, so I just kind of like want to read through this, skim through it a little bit. So Thomas Jefferson says, Dear Sir, I sit down to write to you without knowing by what occasion I shall send my letter. I do it because a subject comes into my head which I wish to develop a little more than is participle in the hurry of the moment of making up general dispatches. The question whether one generation of men has the right to bind another seems never to have been started either on this or our side of the water, yet it is a question of such consequence as not only to merit decision, but place also among the fundamental principles of every government. The course of reflection in which we are immersed here on the elementary principles of society has presented this question to my mind, and that no such obligation can be so transmitted, I think capable of proof. I set out on this ground, which I suppose to be self-evident, that the earth belongs in... what the fuck is that word? Usufruct? To the living? What the fuck is that word? My goodness. What am I learning right now? Usufruct. The right to enjoy the use and advantage of another's property, short of the destruction or waste of its substance. The right to enjoy the use and advantages of another's property, short of the destruction or waste of its substance. Anyways. That the dead neither powers no or that the dead have neither powers or rights over it. So basically what I'm getting the essence of is Thomas Jefferson is like, I know we're writing this Constitution, but do we have to make it so intense that it governs people for like a millennia? Like, surely we're gonna die soon, obviously, and does what we say still apply to people in like 1,000 years, you know? Like, geez, you think we might want to think about this a little bit harder. So, blah, 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 blah. The portion occupied by any individual ceases to be his when himself ceases to be. Somebody dies and they're like, they don't get anything done, and it reverts to the society. If the society has formed no rules for the appropriation of its lands in severity, it will be taken by the first occupants. I'm not sure about that direction. That sounds like well, if it's just gonna be taken back by the British, I don't know about that. But he still has the right idea, like, hey, you know, this shit that we write is most likely not going to be relevant at some point in human history. These will generally be the wife and the children of the descendant. If they have formed rules of appropriation, those rules may give it to the wife and the children, or some of them, or to the legatee, I don't know, of the deceased. So they may give it to his creditor. Interesting. But the child in the blah 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 or creator or creditor takes it, not by blah 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 blah. So on and so forth. I think that's enough. I think I've read that enough. I just found that curious. I find this letter curious. One thing I dislike about reading up on this kind of stuff, and why I dislike reading like old 17th century philosophy and shit, is because of that old-timey language they word it in. It's like, not only are you having to, like, oh, I hate this, especially with reading from the eras such as, like, Descartes and, Spinoza and Locke and things like that. Like, I love the topics, and they're already, like, very difficult to understand when you're talking about, like, the reality of nature, the substance of nature. Nature of reality. Did I say the reality of nature? The nature of reality. It's very difficult to understand. There's very complicated topics to begin with. And then on top of it, you have to read it in that stupid old-timey wording. It gives me a headache. It definitely seems there's a portion of this letter from Thomas Jefferson that seems like he's like more concerned about like British taking over back again. I mean, there's that connotation or context, but you know, there's a lot of this that's just like, hey, we're not going to be around forever, and I don't think like what we say, how the U.S. should be governed, will always be applicable forever. It's not always perpetual. It's not eternal. It's gonna have to change. So, the reason why it's important, I think personally, to have a hard revision of what the Constitution really is, because obviously protecting it is sending humanity back. So we are definitely at a cornerstone in which it definitely needs revisions. What once was working for humanity in the US is not working anymore. The whole point of innerstar actualization is to become aware and a part of the true nature of reality, which is teleological. And teleological is something that means everything in the whole universe comes to an end point. It has an end goal. Let's just try to maybe bracket this, or like put this in like parentheses a little bit, this concept. Like when the universe comes forth from the Big Bang, that's not something coming out of nothing. It's not like a universe is born out of nothing. There's still something there. And that's what we always talk about in Hyperianism. What we want people to think about is the true nature of reality. Like when empirical materialist scientists try to look at the source of everything through instruments. They try to look at atoms, they try to break down beyond that. But the thing is like when you get to that point, you have to look at reality through sheer mathematics. It's the mathematics of motion, eternally perpetuating motion, ontological mathematics. It's a flow, it's a ether, it's a substance, source of all reality that constantly perpetuates itself. It never began and it will never end. It has always been eternal, and we are a part of that. We are eternal monads, which is why the word monad is the most important word in this YouTube channel is we are all monads. A monad is a fancy term for soul, consciousness. It's the literal correct mathematical term for a soul or a consciousness. It is an infinite container. Reality is infinite outside of it and infinite within it too. What I mean by infinite within it is that you as a mind is infinite in capacity. You can't actually measure how much you there is, how much thought you are. Maybe in a certain sense, but there's no limited capacity for that. It's not like you're filled up and you're like, oh, I can't be any more of a person or a consciousness. I can't grow or expand anymore. So in terms of innerstar actualization, becoming aware of all this really puts into question a lot of the ways we are living as a society, as we are living as people. It brings religion under fire, mainstream religion under fire, that says there's this external creator God that created us, when there's none. There's no external source that created us. You can't create something that's eternal. These are the kinds of things that would shape the decisions that the US government makes today, such as overturning Roe versus Wade, in which they're trying to protect life, I guess. Even though at the same time, the US government doesn't let you claim unborn children on your tax returns. That's very interesting. But they're willing to uproot a whole fucking movement, a 50-year movement, and base it on that. I will say, just very briefly, point blank, when it comes to monads and abortion, if we are eternal monads and let's say we abort a pregnancy, that monad will simply just find another body to connect to. It's like, I mean, it's not an easy decision, but it really is as simple as like, sorry, not this gateway. Sorry, try the next one. Good luck. It's so weird how it's like there's just no justification or no imagination or not even really any specification on like why we're doing this. And it's always like, oh, well, it's not about that. We're just turning rights back to the states. Okay, rights back to the states to do what? Rule on behalf and according to their religious beliefs and their outdated beliefs on what a consciousness, on what a person, on what a soul, on what a monad is, and what happens to it after it dies. So it's so weird how it's like there's this constant switching of the goalposts where it's not about this, it's about this, it's not about this, it's about this. It's like, no, let's bring it home to what's going on here. It's people not thinking critically, not thinking rationally, not thinking evolutionary in a way that we need to evolve things, evolve our practices, our society, our government, and keep it updated to what really works for people in the long run. Everybody needs to achieve innerstar actualization. Everything comes home to the teleological point at the end of the universe. Everything comes back together. That is the point of life. Everything comes to an omega point. We all squish together into a singularity. That's what's supposed to be going on here. We can't do that. We can't become united if we have all of these crazy, outdated thought systems ruling a people that desperately needs something more updated. So, yes, you can change the US Constitution. It's not easy, but I refuse to just throw my hands up and say, well, we live in a world that can't be changed. Yes, it can be changed. And if people keep slacking back and just like throwing up their hands, then like there really won't be any change. Because if people become complacent to these ideas, we're not going to get to the end very close. Get to the end very well, but there's all these countries that have constitutions, and there's been some of them have had several revisions, and the US has had very little revisions to the Constitution at large. I don't mean like individual amendments, but even then it's like why aren't we creating new amendments and stuff? So I reject the whole argument of like well, don't relate abortion to guns because guns are in the Constitution and abortion is not. And it's like, why shouldn't it be? I think that really highlights something that needs to be done here. It's true that they're not very relatable in themselves, but they are two very controversial subjects going on in our U.S. society. So I think it's very important that, yes, we do examine both of them together. Like, hey, why is this thing being allowed and this one isn't? Yes, they aren't relatable. They are oranges and apples, but there's still these crazy controversial fundamental rights that everybody's trying to fight for. And it's very beyond me because I'm somebody who enjoys guns. I am a gun owner. I have guns, and I've also had abortions. I've been there. I dabble with all of that stuff. So I'm experienced. That's kind of the point I'm making, is like a lot of this is based on personal experience as well. I personally have experienced none of my rights owning my guns being threatened, and all of my rights to my reproductive organs being threatened. You think that's a little bizarre? You think that's a little weird? I would expect the opposite. I would never in a million years believe anybody's coming for my guns. But I believe, absolutely, and with experience, have seen my rights being taken away from my reproductive organs just because they're female. Very concerning. And this is, again, the US government is not in favor of innerstar actualization. The people that are serving the Supreme Court, they're there to serve for life. Some of these people can live to be really fucking old. And that's very frustrating. Yeah, see, Paul Cherry's kind of like I'm said, Thomas Jefferson is not an angel, but I say, because like I said, all these guys are like guilty of doing like atrocious things, like owning other human beings, being very misogynistic. But at least Thomas Jefferson had some of the hint and inkling to say like, this might not be very relevant in the next, I don't know, few thousand years. Like, we might be totally like buried in the dust. Yeah, not to mention that this whole country was founded on land that was already occupied. That's another can of worms to open. But that's kind of like, well, that's kind of briefly my point. Is this whole country was founded on people who were just like way just off the rockers. They were owning people, conquering people, like, and some of them still had some good ideas, but ultimately us as a US government are still basing what we do off of this constitution. And there's a lot of people in the Supreme Court that are literalists. As I said in the very beginning of this live stream, literalists are people who adhere very vehemently to literal interpretations of things such as the Bible, the Quran, other religious documents. The US Constitution is a part of that. The US Constitution, as much as I would like to say is objective, is constantly interpreted different ways, even by the literalists. It is interpreted in ways that favor whatever they want at the moment. So you could go back and forth all day long at what the Constitution actually means. But what it actually is written by a bunch of old twats. And we live in a country where there's ranch dressing flavored soda. Anyways. I need to use the restroom, take a chill pill, and I will be back. I think we've pretty much wrapped up our subject, but I would like to say hello to a couple more people. Maybe talk about some future plans. So, yes, hold on. Okay, so this is pretty much it. What I wanted to discuss today, the reasons why I'm observing that the U.S. Constitution is definitely not a proponent of innerstar actualization, which is fundamentally crucial for everyday existence, everyday understanding, everyday thriving, and what humanity has a right to. Really, they should have a right to, and nobody has the right to that right now. We got people with outdated, archaic ideas still trying to keep it as if that's the way people should live. Humanity needs constant evolution in the way it governs itself. Constant change and evolution. Things will never be the same. And even now, things that I feel are good for humanity right now in the long run may not work actually in the long run. Maybe it needs more evolution, more changing in the future, you know, the way people need to live, the way they need to be governed. It's just very interesting that I live in a country that is obsessed with this idea of like sticking to the Constitution written by a bunch of madmen. Literal madmen. Anyways. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me on Monday live stream. We will have another Monday live stream next Monday. And of course, join me this Friday for Friday night chat. Maybe we'll do something a little bit more fun. I don't know. I'm open to suggestions. But anyways, thank you so much for coming, everybody. I'm going to scootaloo. And let me know what you think about the Monday live streams. If you like it this time of day, there is a portion of my audience that is not available Friday nights, but seem to like it when it's during the day. And then some where they can't, you know, so it's give and take. And there will definitely be more live streams in the future, potentially branching out to other days of the week as well. But for now, we're going to stick to Mondays and Fridays. Hello, Renaissance Fairy. And please like and share and subscribe if you haven't. Also, there's patreon.com/JanEricksonOfficial, in which you can have access to our Discord server, and that's where you can keep up to date and interact with me on a personal level. Yes, hi and bye. Sorry, Renaissance Fairy. Hi and goodbye. Anyways, thank you all for coming tonight. Have a good day and see you Friday.